Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Update. We've got some breaking news out of Sandusky, Ohio, where just this week we've seen some construction, not in the location that you may think. Yes, we've seen construction in the Sirens Curse location, some track being moved on site, some cranes being moved over there, but we've also seen some construction happening back in FrontierTown, and that's the place that I want to talk about this evening. A few weeks ago, we saw some pictures of Professor Dilbert's Frontier Fling allegedly being taken down. Those came from the webcam. We saw some some pictures of that, of the top portion of that arch of their of the Cedar Point Sky Coaster being removed. But then this week, and we knew this was coming, but we've seen cranes over by the Snake River Falls location, which means, in theory, that Snake River Falls will be down for next season. I think we all assumed that that was going to happen, but it is happening right now, we do believe. So now we have this large area, and we knew going into 2025 that Snake River Falls was gone. But now with the addition of the Sky Coaster being removed as well, you now have a huge plot of land that has just opened up. So you have Snake River Falls. Right next to that is the Sky Coaster location. And then right across the lagoon, the river, on Millennium Island, you have that old, the splash pad basically of Shoot the Rapids that they've repurposed a number of times. Most recently, it was a raft ride that took you out to the Forbidden Frontier. So now we have a huge plot of land that you can basically do anything you want on. And when we're talking about the size of the plot of land here, we're going to throw up a Google map here of Cedar Point. But this size of land is just absolutely massive, as you can see here. So what if you want to compare it to, you could fit... could you fit Steel Vengeance in this area? Maybe. You could do an L-shaped roller coaster that starts somewhere in FrontierTown and shoots out to the island and then comes back. Do you start it out on the island to start a whole new midway and have the entrance to the ride be out there? I don't know what you do here, but now you have this huge plot of land. And the possibilities are endless. Now, we've always talked here on this program for a number of years about the possibility of having a wood coaster, in this area. And I think the wood coaster fits a very nice theme of what Frontier Town's all about. And if we look at it though, so we're looking at this area. If we look at it, you could shoot it out there, start it somewhere in Frontier Town. Just an absolutely massive plot of land. Now, in theory, you could use this and not even go to the island at all. Okay, you are definitely talking. I'm just looking again. You are definitely talking about the size of an area. Just between the Sky Coaster and the island, like you're talking an area the size of Gemini, maybe bordering on the size of Steel Vengeance. Is this multiple rides? I don't know. Do you do one in Frontier Town? Do you add something absolutely massive? Now, my concern is that there's not a whole lot of elevation change in this area. This is all pretty much flat land at this point. So as we know, a lot of the good GCIs out there, like I'm thinking, like Mystic Timbers, they use the terrain a little bit to give you some surprise drops. But a ride like Prowler that's really good has a little bit of a terrain difference. I know Danny Miller loves Gold Striker that has no terrain difference. So I'm thinking we're going to see something more of the long, if it is a wood coaster and if it is GCI, I think you're going to find something more along the lines of a Gold Striker than you would a Mystic Timber, say you. Okay. But this thing could be absolutely massive. You're talking about having enough land to do a traditional lift hill, having enough land to just do some crazy turns, especially if you're adding into that Shoot the Rapid splash pad. And like I said before, you also have the possibility of doing a standard coaster. You could do, um, something, a figure eight coaster, something that has that general configuration, that's contained within the Snake River Falls and Sky Coaster plot, and then leave that Shoot the Rapids area open for a new midway, which we all think is coming. We all think that that will eventually be turned into a new midway at Cedar Point because there's just too much land out there not to be used. Um, and if you look at that map and if you zoom in on Google Maps, I know we can't zoom in here, but that structure out there in the middle of Millennium Force is still there. So you could easily turn that into a new midway with a few flat rides peppered in around the Millennium Force rides, especially if you use the back half of the Forbidden Frontier area too. So there's a lot of possibilities. Now, the question is the timeline on this, because we know with the removal of King Dakar, that Cedar Fair put out most of their 2026 editions. So the question becomes, when does this happen? So we know it's not for 2025. It's going to be Siren's Curse. You're probably going to give it a year. We know 2026, Cedar Point not on the docket. Makes sense, right? Siren's Curse coming in this year. A new coaster probably has a at least 1 or 2 years of taking hold. But then maybe 2027 we see a huge wood coaster or another coaster be added to Cedar Point. 2028 might be more likely. But here, what I always find funny is the people out there who have said for years Cedar Point doesn't have any room to expand. And yet here we are talking year after year of them adding rides and more coasters. And granted, you can criticize that all you want. You can criticize that and say, oh, there's too many coasters, they need more of other things. I will not disagree. They need a dark ride. They need something else to add. They maybe need some more flat rides here and there, and need some more family rides as well. I think in that middle zone that we see Kings Island doing a lot of lately, putting in family roller coasters, family attractions. I think Cedar Point could use a little bit of that, but ultimately Cedar Point is the roller coaster capital of the world. So they're always going to be, adding more roller coasters. Everyone's like, oh, where are they going to add it? And honestly, they haven't removed that much to add the things that they have. Okay, they've been using their space very efficiently. You basically, so whereas other parks are removing rides left and right, you look at Disney and every single week a new ride's being torn out of those parks. But here at Cedar Point, what did you lose? What'd you lose? You lost Snake River Falls, okay. A water ride that had admittedly so very low ridership the past few years. What else did you lose? So you start looking at where they've added rides, and they've been very, very, efficient with their land space and doing things to spice up areas like the whole boardwalk and moving a whole bunch of flat rides over there and adding a Wild Mouse coaster over there. So they've done a really good job with using the land that they've had, and everyone has said for the better part of a decade, where are they going to keep putting coasters? And here now we are sitting at you possibly adding in another world-class roller coaster and having the space to do it and not really removing a whole lot besides Snake River Falls, having the clear space to put in possibly a record-breaking wood coaster. And just to throw that out, maybe you don't do a wood coaster. Maybe you do something completely different. Maybe you put in another steel coaster. Maybe Cedar Point has said, you know what, we're done with the wood coaster stuff. Even though it fits the theme of Frontierland, maybe they're going to put in, a world-class coaster like the Europeans are doing, that they want to say, hey, this is clearly the best ride in the world. The best ride in the world is right down a few feet away in Steel Vengeance. Nobody can tell me different on that. But there's a lot of people keep saying, oh, the best ride. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they can put in another steel coaster to really have a top 5 of steel roller coasters in that park. You talk about Steel Vengeance, you talk about Maverick, you talk about Millennium Force, and you added another one right there. That's 4 really top-class, world-class roller coasters right in walking distance, literally walking distance from each other. You could create a top 10 and have 50% of it come from the same park. It's absolutely obscene that this is happening, but people don't talk about this enough. Just to remind you that we do know, just to recap everything here, we do know that Snake River Falls is being taken down. We see some cranes, some action there. We suspect that the Sky Coaster is gone as well. And now this opens up a huge possibility for the future here, a huge possibility of doing something absolutely massive in this space, a space that rivals that of Gemini or Steel Vengeance or Maverick. This is a huge amount of space, especially if you use it well and have the right design out there. So just wanted to keep you updated, and we'll keep you updated as we find out more and more about the Cedar Point seasons. And hopefully, we've seen that those construction videos of Siren's Curse. We can't wait to see that continue to rise into the air. And trust me, even though I did not talk about Siren's Curse a lot here today, I am super excited about the possibility, or not the possibility, the reality of having a Vekoma tilt coaster at Cedar Point. I think it's going to be super awesome. We're going to see it. Hopefully, we'll see some more of that rise over this off season here. So, as always, I am Andrew Barchak from Chicago, Illinois. Right on, Ride Warriors.